The world today bids farewell to Pope Francis, marking the end of an era that will be remembered for its calls for unity, compassion, and reform. His funeral service, held in St. Peter's Square, is a solemn yet powerful reminder of a life dedicated to service, not just to the Catholic Church but to the world at large. The ceremony reflects the simplicity and humility that Pope Francis lived by, drawing millions of mourners who traveled from across the globe to pay their respects. Pope Francis's papacy was defined by a commitment to creating a more inclusive and compassionate world, one that prioritized the most vulnerable. Whether through his advocacy for the environment, his focus on global poverty, or his outspoken support for refugees, Pope Francis constantly challenged the world to do better. His death is not only the loss of a spiritual leader, but also a figure whose influence shaped the course of history for the better. As the Vatican prepares to say goodbye, world leaders and people of all faiths gather to reflect on his impact. Pope Francis's funeral service is not just a Catholic occasion. It is a global moment of reflection on the values of peace, love, and humanity that Pope Francis represented. The Vatican has been a symbol of strength and tradition, but today it stands as a beacon of unity and resilience in the face of loss. What made Pope Francis stand out was his ability to connect with people on a human level, regardless of their background. His papacy was marked by an openness to dialogue with people of other faiths, his efforts to address global inequality, and his stance on controversial issues like climate change and human rights. He did not shy away from the tough conversations, constantly reminding us of the urgency of creating a better world for future generations. The simple yet deeply moving ceremony today in St. Peter's Square reflects the character of a man who valued service above all. Pope Francis was never concerned with titles or accolades. His humility and commitment to social justice have left an indelible mark on the hearts of millions. His funeral is a testament to the global recognition of his work, with mourners from across the world coming together to honor his legacy. Pope Francis was not just the leader of the Catholic Church, he was a moral leader for the world. He advocated for peace in the Middle East, spoke against the arms trade, and always took a firm stance against injustice. His support for the marginalized, especially the poor and the displaced, was unparalleled, and it wasn't just his words, but his actions that spoke volumes. From his outreach to refugees to his work with the poor, Pope Francis was committed to making a tangible difference in people's lives. As we witness the world gather in Rome for his funeral, we see the far-reaching influence Pope Francis had. Heads of state, religious leaders, and people from all corners of the world are present, showing the global respect he commanded. His papacy, though filled with moments of controversy and challenge, ultimately left behind a legacy of hope and compassion that will resonate for generations to come. In his final years, Pope Francis faced immense challenges, both within the Church and in the world. But he never wavered in his belief that the Church must serve the people, not the powerful. His calls for reform in the Vatican, his transparency in addressing the Church's scandals, and his push for a more inclusive approach to faith. All of these were revolutionary at the time, but they were guided by a consistent vision of a church that embodies the teachings of Christ. It's not just about his work within the Church. Pope Francis had a unique way of reaching out to the world at large. His commitment to the environment, exemplified in his 2015 encyclical Laudato Si', called for a global response to climate change. His plea for peace during times of global conflict reminded us that religion's true purpose is not to divide, but to unite in the face of adversity. Even in death, Pope Francis's message is clear. We must continue the work of healing and uniting a fractured world. As we reflect on the funeral service, we are reminded of the power of Pope Francis's example. His influence was not about power or prestige, it was about living a life of service to others. For the millions who followed his guidance, Pope Francis was a beacon of light in an often dark world. His ability to see the best in humanity, even when faced with the worst, will remain a hallmark of his papacy. The Catholic Church and the world at large now faces the question of what comes next. Who will carry forward the mantle of Pope Francis? His death leaves a void, but his teachings, his commitment to compassion, justice, and inclusivity will continue to resonate. The next generation of leaders must learn from his example, ensuring that the values Pope Francis championed continue to guide our collective journey. As the world mourns, it's essential to remember that Pope Francis's life was a life of purpose. His papacy was not about personal achievements or recognition, but about leaving the world a better place than he found it.